I'm gonna unmute us though. So now we'll, what I wanna do is have you stand up and say your name nice and loud so that when you're asking a question, you can project your voice. Yeah? Okay, who wants to go first? Johnson.
Is it just my name?
Yeah, just practice like being like up and like, yeah, and like,
Oh.
Johnson top.
Hi, I'm Johnson. I guess that's it, projecting my voice.
That's good, okay. All right, that's good. Here we go. Oh. I think that looks good. I want those seats. I want to look more full. Let me get Tiffany in here, please. Where's Tiffany?
Oh,
Oh, okay, I got Tiffany, but I don't have, hello, come on. Well, you might have to go one seat back. I want us to look like, to be like here, so that it looks like we're having like a nice round table. What do you think is wrong with the shop? Empty seats. I went to convocation last week, remember? Was it Thursday? Where I was wearing a suit again? Convocation is where the president talks yeah. And I was like, look at the empty seats, does not look good. It looks better to, I know we have to follow rules, right? What are the rules? 6 feet or what are the rules for sitting? Are you allowed to sit next to each other? I think so. People do. As long as you have your mask on, because exposure is with somebody for longer than 15 minutes without a mask, because that's the email that I get from my daughter's school. So right back there, that might be good. Yeah, I think this looks good. And I'm gonna sit somewhere too. Maybe I'll probably go sit over there behind Joseph. That'll be my spot. But you guys keep the conversation alive and going. All right. I've prepared my DJ mix for this. My DJ. Did I put it in your class? Yes, I did.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I want to be part of it.
All right. Well, he said, I'm still gonna play this for him because we made it, right? It's not loud.
Entertainment operations class, and I personally like to welcome Dan Lauria to speak to my class. Welcome, Mr. Dan Lauria.
Wait for it. The superstar girls are coming up right now.
We're excited to gain all this knowledge from you.
Just to tell us all about his acting career. Hi, thank you for joining us. My name is Lauria and I'm a Dr. P's Entertainment Operations class here at Cal State Fullerton. We look forward to hearing all your knowledge about your acting career before and now.
Hi, I'm Tiffany. I'm from Dr. P's Entertainment Operations class at Cal State Fullerton, and we're so happy to have you here and looking forward to whatever knowledge you have from acting. And I'm excited to hear about your time on NCIS2. So without further ado, Dan Lauria.
Did Dr. P do good editing? How's my editing, people? I mean, I do the best I can. So he'll join. We'll try to just do like 3:45, 2:45 to like. I don't want to push. I want to get like I'm saying we leave around 3:30. If we get like enough, you guys stay active, lively, get a good, so like 3:30. We can go up to 3:40. But let's see how we feel. All right, cool. All right, I'm so proud of you all. A round of applause for our people. The last class had a cameraman and two gentlemen and the 3 ladies. Layla had a good question before. We can take care of business while we're waiting for Dan to log on. You don't have to do anything every week. You just hand in your, show me your certificate to get 1,200 points at that one time. But you still need to be doing stuff, even though I'm not just not babysitting you. All right, so does this shot looks good of us? I think that looks good. That looks good. Any questions for me? I'd like you to ponder and think of a question like, who are some people that we need to like raise awareness on and make more movies about? Like, and would you play those roles? Also ask him if he would play the role of somebody who maybe he's not a fan of. Trying to see if he logged on. You know, would you, in the future, would you play a role of, well, I mean, it would be a villain, right? But it would be a villain, but what, you know, do you guys nod your heads if you know what kind of question I'm hoping that you would ask? Yeah? Like, for example, if they're like, Dr. P or Effie, go play this role, but it was like really against my values and my beliefs, I'd probably say no. But like some people just do it. But some people just do it, they'll play the role. Like, but then some people just want to play a role like, oh, I would like Lillian Mahler Jobreth, I'll take that any day. That lady was bad, $, Look her up. The movie has been made about the lady, about this woman. So anybody see Cheaper by the Dozen?
Yeah.
So there's an old Cheaper by the Dozen and then the new one with the guy with the white hair. Yeah, right? That's based off of a lady and they had 12 kids for real. She was an early PhD. She was born in 1878. Okay, well, here's Dan. He's not born in 1878. But we got to give you the welcome video because the girls are in this class.
And I'm in Dr. P's entertainment operations class, and I'd personally like to welcome Dan.
We're going to go to the girls. Veer, yep. You guys are in this class.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm in Dr. P's entertainment operations class at Cal State Fullerton. And I'm really excited for Dan Lauria to come and just tell us all about his acting career.
Hi, thank you for joining us. My name is Aaliyah and I'm in Dr. P's entertainment operations class here at Cal State Fullerton. We look forward to hearing all your knowledge about your acting career before and now.
Hi, I'm Tiffany. I'm from Dr. P's entertainment operations class at Cal State Fullerton, and we're so happy to have you here and looking forward to whatever knowledge you have from acting. And I'm excited to hear about your time on NCIS too. So without further ado, Dan Lauria.
Woo!
Hi, can you hear me this time?
Here we go again with the audio.
Well,
Oh, good. You got to press when you log in.
I know how to do it. My audio is on.
Oh, now you're on, but we don't hear you. Now it says, now it's muted.
Now I'm on. It's on, and I don't know why you don't hear me.
Can't hear you.
Okay, I don't know what to do.
Log back off and log back on. Make sure you press computer audio.
I did.
Join with computer audio.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll come back. No, I don't think I need this screen. Well, hopefully if you unmute it, it'll work.
How's that?
No, still don't have it.
I don't know what to tell you.
What did we do last time?
We went on and off, and I did that. Audio settings.
Where's that person that helped you last time?
I don't know.
Oh, where's my?
Jack, can you come here and help me get on this?
Okay, hold on.
Okay, audio. You can hear me, and my mic is on.
I got you.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Okay, can you hear us? Can you hear us?
No, they can't.
All right, hold on a second.
Oh.
They should be able to hear you, so we got
I did that.
okay.
Last time.
Right here.
My phone again.
All the way. See that?
Mhm.
Your audio.
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear us? No.
Oh.
They can.
Oh, I think, you know what? I don't think anything was wrong. There's a delay. But thanks.
Delay, but just, you could blame Dr. P.
That's Jax Maxwell, the booze traveler for the Discovery Channel.
Hi, Jax.
He also, if you have any questions about doing shows like that, Jack also played Steve Allen when we did the recreation of Steve Allen's Meeting of Minds. So anyway, all right, guys. What do you need? Questions? Go ahead. You won't like the answer.
We need better audio, don't we? Do you guys hear him on the speaker?
Barely.
Barely. Let me try to get, we can hear you.
Okay, but there's a volume here that's, I don't know.
Yes! No, you're fine.
It's an audio thing. You're fine? You can hear it?
Yeah, we're great. All right. Happy today, happy every day. So this is a lively bunch. You guys have some questions?
Go ahead. Who's first? Boy, I tell you, when I met an actor, they couldn't shut me up. I had a million questions.
Go ahead, Johnson.
Oh,
Yep, go ahead. Say your name out loud.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, and my question is, how is the industry, whoa, I can't talk, sorry. How is the industry different today than it was when you first started acting?
It's totally different, and I'm glad you didn't ask how I got started, because my answer is, why would you want to know? There's nothing I did that you will have to do. No one ever asked me for a reel or a disc or a tape. We are now into mass editing, and I'm working with people who say one line at a time. I haven't seen anybody listen on a TV show in a long time, and in most movies I haven't. It's all edited. Your face, my face, your face, my face. And I can tell you this, chemistry is what happens between two actors. And as soon as I cut from your face to my face, we've cut the chemistry and the timing. So I don't know how I would make it as an actor today. When I started, we did 3-4 minute scenes without a cut on television. So they had to get people like me who did a lot of theater. So now they're hiring people who've never done a play. They come out of college making 10-minute movies and think they know how to act. No, you know how to fill an editing machine. I told you won't like these answers. It's much harder for you than it was for me. All I had to do was learn how to act. Nobody cared how many hits I had on my Facebook or how many, all this other crap you guys have to deal with. But we had to be able to act. And nobody ever asked me for a self-tape or a reel or a disc. So I know you don't like that answer, but what can I tell you? So, all right, is there another question? I can see you, but I'm not hearing anything.
Johnson?
Okay. Hi, I'm Johnson. I was wondering, especially with the reboot lately, we talked about this class with Dr. P about the Wonder Years. You were one of the stars, of course. Have they asked you to come back to consult or even ask for your opinion about maybe the reboot and how you feel about it?
No, why would they? I mean, Dulé Hill, who's playing my part's a good friend. He called the other day. I wished him well. I thought they should have done it years ago. I send a nice email to Fred, and he got back to me right away, and Neil Marlins. And I said, if you ever need a Sicilian uncle, let me know. And Fred wrote back, the cast is still laughing at your response. So, no, they don't need my opinion. I didn't. I mean, I write, but I had nothing to do with the writing of the original Wonder Years. My only contribution on that end was when I got the part. I'm a Marine and I'm a veteran, and I asked Neil Marlins and Carol Black, who created it, is there any way we can make my character a vet? And obviously we couldn't make him a Vietnam vet, so we made him a Korean vet, and that did play into a number of stories down the line. But other than that, the writers, Neil and Carol created it, and after 18 shows, they left, and Bob Brush, even Fred will tell you, that was the real star of that show, was the writing. It's very hard to, as an actor, to do much if the writing is bad, So, the old adage, you can't polish it. So, any other questions? Oh, this is an easy class.
Writers, anybody write in this class? Because Stan is anybody write like creative writing?
Well, I've had a couple of plays and a couple of screenplays produced, published, so anything. Okay, you guys are easy. Well, this was fun.
I have a question.
Sure.
I have a question. What's the most important thing to get organized in order to start a new project? Because I know you started like a lot of projects before.
Started what projects? I started what projects before?
Get organized to start a new project.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know about organizing, but Charles Durning, my mentor, said you should do 3 things every day that you're not working. One is you have to watch an old movie, and I mean old, where they don't cut every line. Like I never auditioned for a comedy without watching His Girl Friday, and I never auditioned for a villain without watching the original Cape Fear. And so you should watch an old movie every day. It'll help your writing and your acting. 2 is you should read aloud at least a half hour every day. Even if, you're sitting on a throne, read aloud, read a newspaper, anything, read aloud, get your voice used to projecting and hearing yourself. You'll be surprised how many times people are thrown, especially in theater today where you're self-mic'd, because you hear yourself differently. And third thing is make sure you work out. Like Charles Durning was a little fat guy, but he never smoked, and he walked every day to keep his lungs strong because he did theater. He was 89 when he died. When he was 86, he still did a play. You want to make sure his lungs were strong. So now if writing is a little different. You should start with 15 minutes. It can be whatever, the middle of the night. It could be first thing in the morning, and you sit down at a desk, and even if you have nothing to write, sit there. Eventually you'll write lists or ideas, and then eventually you'll go back and fill those lists in, and then try to build that up to a half hour to an hour. I do an hour a day where I just sit here and either work on something I've already written or start working on. I got a screenplay and a play that I'm working on now. So I don't know if that helps you, if answers your question about organizing your day, but that's what I do.
Can you tell us more about what you're working on, or is it top secret?
No, I just finished a play that a number of theaters want Wendy Malick and I to do it. We even had a New York offer. I'm leery about that. I'd like to try it out first. It's about two old people with Alzheimer who meet every day on a bench. They don't remember the day before, but every day they fall in love.
Oh, it's like one of my favorites, like 50 First Dates. Adam Sandler, but that's so close to my heart.
There you go.
I also use promotion, like more.
What? I'm sorry?
If you do raise awareness on Alzheimer's too.
Sure, why not? Well, two good parts for me and Wendy. And I'm working on a screenplay for Ron. He's Ron Perlman, Hellboy, you know him. He's optioned something I wrote, but now he wants me to write something where he's a nice guy. But it's a little expensive. But it's set in the 1980s. He's a Holocaust survivor. He started a garment business. His son is a great son, runs the business, but his grandson, who's a good salesman, but is wild and gambles, and the grandson and the father don't get along. And the grandson wins the lottery by playing the numbers on Ron's arm.
Oh my gosh.
And Ron robs the money and is giving it away. And the movie is about how the grandson is following him. And wherever he goes, he can't understand why his father is giving this money away. And at the end, there's still some money left. And you wonder, is the son just going to gamble it away, or is he going to try to help somebody? So, by the way, you just heard two pitches. They were both under 2 minutes. So if you want to tell me something you're writing about, as soon as you go over 2 minutes, I will go. That's all you're going to get in a room with pros. You're lucky to get to 2 minutes. You better have your pitch down if you're going to write something, and then keep it down to less than 2 minutes.
That's a heavy topic. Can I ask the question? Because I was asking them to ask the question, but say that there's somebody that you totally didn't like from history, and then it came up that you could play him in a movie or in a play. Where would you be, like, value-wise or ethically on that?
Well, you know that the character I would have liked to have played, I'm probably too old now, is Milton Hershey. I thought he was the greatest entrepreneur we ever had. And the two characters I think movies should be written about are General Smedley Darlington Butler, who I think is the greatest American who ever lived. He received the Medal of Honor 3 times. But it's not the Medal of Honor, it's what he did after that. And Dr. Mary Edwards Walker, the first woman doctor in the service and the only woman to receive the Medal of Honor. Less than 0.1% in the women of America know a woman even received the Medal of Honor. So you guys want something to work on? There's 3 topics. Write a play, write a movie, maybe both.
Even a short, they are doing a project in this class that's actually showing that they can do something, so.
Right. Well, they're great characters. Google them and you'll be shocked that you never learned about them. So. Anything else?
Go ahead, Layla.
Yeah, I have a question. So hi, I'm Layla. Just going based on your profile, you've done quite a lot of roles, and I just want to know, like, what has been your favorite role, and if there has been a role that you did not really like.
There's been most of them I didn't really like, and my favorite role is the next one.
The next one.
Don't look back. So I've had a lot of good stuff. The Wonder Years, obviously, Lombardi on Broadway for a year, but That's all in past. Looking for the next one. I started rehearsing for a play that I don't really like on Monday, but I'm looking forward to playing that character. And they said I could do it with Norwegian accent, so I've been watching I Remember Mama. And there was a great actor in there named Oscar Homoka, and I'm doing his accent. So, robbed from old actors. Like if you watch the Wonder Years, there was an old actor named Van Heflin, and that's how I did the character as if the way I saw him, Van Heflin, doing it. It's not an imitation, but you take a lot of mannerisms and stuff. I'm not a method actor. If I got to cry, I don't think about when my dog died. I think about what the lines say. And I try to think of how Van Heflin would attack that thing, that moment, and the tears come.
I'm actually looking him up now. Oh, there he is.
It's just act. Oh, Van Heflin? He was great. Won an Academy Award. Best Supporting Actor, I think 1936, 37. Yep, that's him. So watch a movie called Patterns, written by Rod Serling. You know, Twilight Zone, Rod Serling. Okay, I got Van Heflin on my screen, but I don't have you guys.
I know, I'm stopping it right now.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
I have another question.
Sure.
Being part of, like, say, a minority, since your background is Italian, when a production or a movie studio comes and approaches you about like fitting a specific role, how do you feel about that when they, ask you to be part of like a mobster crime scene, or, to be a part of crime? How do you feel with your background?
If it's well written, I'll be glad to do it.
Do you enjoy doing it though? Do you enjoy the representation that it has?
I won an Obie Award, Off-Broadway Award, for playing Al Capone. It was well written. It was called Vesper's Eve. And I didn't mind playing Al Capone. My mother went around the audience saying, he's not like that. He doesn't curse like that. So, I said, it's a good play. I'm not, matter of fact, I like when you do something that's a little controversial and, usually sells tickets and we get to discuss it, So I don't mind that. I wish they would do more positive movies, like Garibaldi would be a great character to do a movie about. Lincoln asked him to head the Union Army, even though he was an Italian from Italy. But I can't help it if they like mobster movies. I never enjoyed The Sopranos, and I never did it, but it had nothing to do with, I thought it was demeaning. Jimmy was a friend of mine, Jimmy Gandolfini, but I loved him. What a great guy. Just one of the nicest people you ever want to meet. Totally unlike Tony Soprano. But I didn't enjoy that show that much. I know it's a classic. I enjoyed, I think The Wonder Years is a better show. Anybody else? Boy, you got a bunch of thinkers here, Effie,
Go ahead, I see you over there. You got a question? Yes.
Yep.
Effie?
Okay, hi, my name's Aaliyah, and then my question is, what would you say the difference is between acting on a stage versus on a screen, and do you prefer one over the other?
Well, when I started, see, again, this goes back to the difference in the business. When I started, I would have said there's no difference. When you do a lot of theater like I have, at the beginning, I would work in these theaters that were 60 seats, 70 seats. The audience was 2 feet away from you. Well, that's what it's like on a set. And you never do the performance for the camera. You always do it for the crew. They're the hardest audience in the world. And if they like what you're doing, you've hit the right chord. And that's why, like on the Wonder Years, we had a great cinematographer, Steve Comfer, who would also operate the camera once in a while. And if we did a scene and it ended and he sat there on the camera, we didn't impress him. But if we did a scene and he got up off the camera, we knew we did it well. So the crew is like that small audience. So in the beginning, I didn't see any difference. Now they do one line at a time, two eyes in the camera. I work with young people who say one line and then they go, let me say that again, and they do it again. And I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah, and then when you try to run the lines, they're on their cell phones. You know, I run lines even after I know. I run lines to the point where when they say action, the last thing I'm thinking about is the lines because they're there. And I don't know how you can do any, but you know, when the camera's this tight on your face, I guess you don't feel you have to do anything. That's another reason why you should watch old movies. Even close-ups were broader, so body language meant something. Anything?
I like that, being prepared. I lecture them on preparing every week, like the week before. So I try to teach a model of like plan your following week, the week prior. And
Never hurts.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand just in colleges, if you go back maybe 20 years and look at the colleges, they will have a theater department. And you look now, in most of those colleges, it says communications department. And you're making these 10-minute movies where we were doing plays. So that's a huge difference. So, you know, I haven't done a long scene without a cut on television. I can't tell you. I haven't seen anybody listen on television in a long time. I mean, listening is half of acting. But if you're talking and it's on your face, then it cuts to my face talking. I haven't seen anybody listen or play off each other. No, it's not just me. You can turn on TV right now. Turn on half the shows I've been on, NCIS, Criminal Minds. You know, even some of that are halfway decent writing. They just cut the hell out of it.
Well, you were with the actor that plays Aaron Hotchner. I think it was Thomas Gibson, and I don't know. I forgot his name. From Criminal Minds at the train station, and your lines actually rhymed. You were saying something to him. Well, I'm glad I listened to you when you played the general.
Right.
And I just like that they rhymed, and I was like, yeah, I love this.
Yeah, it would have been nice if they kept that in a 2-shot so more people could feel that we were trying to mime. I was trying to mime his voice so to calm him down a little bit. But they don't care about stuff like that. Just fill the editing machine.
Oh yeah, you're right. When you were talking to the guy that had the anthrax or whatever, right? I know exactly what you're talking about. Cut. Yeah, totally.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's killing the good actors. That's why it's harder for you guys. See, when I started, a casting director would call you. Say they called 15 actors for the same part, and we would audition for her in a room, and she would give us notes. And the person reading opposite you was usually another actor. Like I know Meg Simon at Warner Bros. In New York, she would call me all the time. She didn't have a part for me, but she said, would you mind reading, you know, opposite the actor? It was a great little gig, you know, and you get to meet people. So you actually read so your 15 actors go in, you read, then the casting director would not narrow it down to 5. And then the writer, the director, and sometimes the producer of the show would come in to see all 5 people audition. You'd get to meet them, you get to say hello. I can't tell you how many times I didn't get the part, But a couple of months later, the casting director called and said, Dan, they want you on the show. And I would say, you mean an audition? They went, no, they loved your last audition. You were just too ugly for that part. They want you for this part. You know, and you got a part. That will never happen with you guys, because they're going to look at a talking head on a screen with 9 million other talking heads, and they may remember the person who gets the part, but they're not going to remember you. So every time you do one of the self-tapes, you're starting from scratch. And nobody gets, the person who hires you never gets to meet you or give you a note or ask you to, you know, do something with the line. You guys have it much harder than I did. All I had to do was learn how to act. You got all this other bullshit to work with. And maybe I'm just too old, but I can't. That's why I go back to the theater. Curtain goes up. If you can't act, they let you know right away and you're out of there. So, I mean, if you listen to everything I say, you'll be a better actor and you'll probably never work. So don't listen to me. What can I tell you?
Well, here they're gonna do a project, whether they wanna put their face on it or not is up to them. It could be a podcast, a short film, a cookbook, a business plan, a event plan, whatever. But just like you said, even me as a professor, I'm here like also doing video editing. I'm also doing stuff on the computer. You know, it's like, it's not like I just come and profess or write academic articles. Like I'm not sitting there writing journals.
Right. See, we never did that. We went to act class. We did scenes. I had a great teacher. She told, here's what you can do to make it better. Here's what you were doing wrong. And you worked on scenes and then you did plays. Now you're doing videos and they're confusing that with acting. And I'm lost. So I'm probably learning more from you guys. Go ahead. I see your hand there.
Another question. So with this like oversaturation of like editing and this implementation of technology, do you think it's doing more harm to the industry as a whole, or?
I don't know about industry and that, but I know it's killing actors and it's killing acting. I am working with some people that would never have gotten hired when I started. Because everybody came from the theater. So now I'm working with young people who've never even heard of doing a play. They just made 10-minute movies and stuff. So, and I just think that hurts the good. I know it hurts acting. All you got to do is what, I do a lecture at colleges and I show 2 minutes of Argo, which won Best Picture, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago now. And as it runs, I yell out to the audience, cut, 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 until they understand what a cut is. Then I start it again and say, yell out cut when it comes. 27 seconds later, the audience yells cut, and I say, you've just seen the longest take in Argo without a cut. 27 seconds. Then I show Cary Grant and Rosalind Russell and his girl Friday going around a desk. And I say, yell cut. 5 minutes and 40 seconds later, they usually applaud. They don't even yell cut. They just applaud. 5 minutes and 40 seconds. And then I talk about having breakfast with Cary Grant and about that movie. So all I know is I can't learn anything about acting from Argo. But I can watch Cary Grant, Rosalind Russell do that scene, and before I go in for a comic audition, my pace is so much stronger than the other actors going in there. So I even had a casting director say, Dan, could you pause at each period? And I said, why? So you can slip a scissor in and cut my performance? No, I can't. I'm sorry. I learned how to talk like a human being. So. Obviously, I didn't get that part, but. Anything else?
How do you feel about these long form podcasts? I'm just pondering, like the 2-hour, 2.5-hour ones or podcasts.
I think the Zoom readings are killing theater and the live ones. If you, The only Zoom reading that really worked, I did it with Wendy Malick, and we got rave reviews. But, and this is a big but, it's in 8 scenes. We rehearsed all 8 scenes. We taped one scene at a time. If anything went wrong, like a glitch or a plane went by or the screen froze, we started from beginning of the scene. Then it was put together. That's one major difference. The other thing is it was written for Zoom. It's about 2 old farts who meet each other on a Zoom date during COVID, and it's only 56 minutes. So it got all these rave reviews. And I was talking to Stacy Keach the other day, and he goes, Dan, because he's done some wonderful stuff on Zoom, but it's still flat and boring. And if you've ever seen Stacy on stage, he's just brilliant. He just did some with Ed Harris and Amy Madigan. If it was live, I'd have been jumping out of my seat, but on Zoom it was flat. But Stacy said, why did the thing with you and Wendy work? And I said, Stacy, it's not a play. You were doing a play. I was doing something written for Zoom, and we didn't do it live. So these Zoom readings, especially the live ones where everything stops and people lose their place, and I think it's just, I hate when they do a play like that. I do a million of them, but I will not do any live. If you do it and record it and take out all the glitches, I'll be glad to help you. So
That's valuable.
once we get through COVID, we won't be doing that anymore, I hope. So.
That's valuable.
I just following up to that, I do have a question about like acting within the pandemic. Like you did give one example of it, but like how had it been just in general to be in a pandemic and then having like a lot of projects being postponed?
Well, again, if you Google sitting and talking at the Miles Square Theater in New Jersey, you'll see what Wendy and I did. And it's very obvious that we edited. We didn't just wing it out there. We rehearsed, we did it. It took us a week to do. And that's fine. But when you get a bunch of actors and say, oh, let's read this play on Zoom, you're killing theater. You're killing your chances for anybody respecting your acting. There's no timing involved. And it's just flat. You know, so I guess the more and more people are going to rely on Zoom because the more they edit, the less they need good actors. You know?
But that was a good example that you gave us where you have good actors and you still used editing, but it was because of the delivery mode, which was Zoom. It wasn't theater, it wasn't television, it was this whole new thing.
Right. Right. It's a new thing, and we're not edited line by line. I'm on the screen all the time, and Wendy's on the screen. We're looking at each other. Our responses are timed off each other. We don't cut back and forth. You know, you see both of us there. It's very powerful. I mean, look at the reviews. Go ahead and see it. But like I told Stacy, I'm not doing a play. I don't think a play should be done on Zoom. I don't think you should read screenplays on Zoom. And screenplays, when you read a screenplay, you better have a good narrator, because a good screenplay is mostly visual. So you have to have a good narrator. So you might get away with, you know, some of the acting being a little jarring, but on a play, those actors have to be able to time off each other and everything. So, but to go back to the original question, the difference between stage and film is there was no difference when I started. Now, with the actors not trying to do it for the crew, this stop and go stuff is just, I don't know, it's just killing me. It's killing you young guys too. So my advice to all of you is, write your own plays, make your own movies. If you look at the movies that are nominated, more than half of them are written and directed by the author, and they have long scenes without cuts. As soon as the studio gets involved, it's all chopped up. Okay, Manchester by the Sea, Moonlight, La La Land, movies like that, they all had long scenes without cuts. And that's because the writer directed them. And a good writer doesn't want to chop up his writing. You know, that's why you watch an old movie and half these, watch Preston Sturges' Hail the Conquering Hero. You won't believe how long a scene goes on with 8, 9 people in it without a cut, and it moves quick. Why? Because the actors can act. The zoom operator on the camera knows how to zoom. You don't see the boom of a mic. They didn't have body mics then. Everybody had to be good. As soon as I cut from your face to my face, nobody has to be good. Sound, camera, actors. And if I'm going to put all the timing in the machine, even the writing doesn't have to be that good. So I told you, you won't like my answers to these things. Yeah, but I could come in and go, yeah, acting's great. It's wonderful. Yeah, well, that's why I go back to the theater, because I still believe acting is great and it's wonderful. And I wish I could see some in some movies. And you can if you watch the old movies.
I've become a Tyler Perry fan.
Effie, have them watch Requiem for a Heavyweight with Anthony Quinn and Julie Harris, Mickey Rooney, and Jackie Gleason. And there's at least 3 or 4 scenes in there that your acting class can do in class. And it's beautifully shot. And I guarantee there won't be a dry eye in the house.
Watch the whole film or just the whole film?
Watch the whole film.
All right. I haven't watched Hodgepell. Did we watch Hodgepell in this class? That was only 18 minutes. But
yeah, it might kill you guys to sit and watch an hour and a half movie in black and white. God forbid.
Well, I was just like, I'd like to speak on, the theater, and like, I went to Tyler Perry Studios. I was in Georgia in June, so I drove by there to check it out. So there's this great, huge studio, the Tyler Perry, but he did a lot of theater too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's a good person. He's really been great for Atlanta. He's keeping people working. I admire him very much. I don't like his product usually. It's too chopped up for me, but I respect what he's doing with his money. So I wish he would produce a play. Like to.
Yeah, the old theater stuff though, the plays that he used to have, I would, and they're recorded, they're plays, but and I would just laugh I would laugh. There's different than, I know exactly what you're saying when it's like the movies that he makes versus that.
Right. Right.
It's kind of like making something that's marketable. What do you think people want? That's why they have focus groups for movies, right?
Yeah, but I question that, and I hate when they blame young people like your students for why they have all the mass editing, no attention span. That's a lot of crap. That's not why they do it. It's never been about money. It's always been about power. I have the money to make the movie, so make what I want, versus the artist who says, that's not the movie I want to make. Well, if you cut up everything and put it in the machine and you own the machine, you now have power over the artist. Most people don't realize, like John Ford, who's considered one of, if not the greatest film director of all time, he didn't edit his own movies. Darryl Zanuck did, the president of 20th Century Fox. But John Ford said, I don't care, because the way I shoot him, there's only one way to edit him. So he would do a long scene in one, and then when the most important line came, he would just shoot that line on a single, and then the reaction on that line on a single, and then he would go back to the full 2-shot or the full shot and the master. So like he said, there's only one way to edit the way I shoot. And it was also one of the reasons why the studios loved him, because he didn't waste time. But he knew the movie, and that's why he was nominated 8 times and won. He's got the most. I think he won 4 times for Best Director. And you should all know every one of those movies. To me, not knowing these great actors and great movies is like a baseball player not knowing who Babe Ruth is. like anybody there who wants to write, especially comedy, if you don't know Preston Sturges, I don't know what you're learning at school, but you're not learning about writing. You can write 2 lines joke all you want, but that's formula. Watch Preston Sturges. Watch Hail a Conquering Hero. Or at least the beginning, the opening. Well, it's not the opening scene, but it actually opens with a mass cutting because he was making fun of cutting. And then 2 minutes into the film, it says the end. And then watch the scenes that follow, the 2 scenes that follow that. It only take you about 10 minutes in class. No. Somebody Googling Preston Sturges?
I wish
No.
I could do my space suit and I could see what they're doing. Yeah, Hail a Conquering Hero.
Watch Sullivan's Travels. It's probably his most famous one now, but I like Hail the Conquering Hero. But Preston Sturges, if you watch the beginning of Sullivan's Travels, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, because he makes fun of the editing in the first 2 minutes, and then he shoots the way he wants to shoot right after that.
I actually remember that.
Yeah, see, if I was there, Effie, and I have my, instead of doing all this bullshit, I show these scenes because they're much more effective than an old actor talking to you guys, you know.
Well, if I was up there, then I would cut, your face would be smaller and I would just the same way that I showed the actor, I would be showing what you were telling me. But it's like, you know.
Good. Call, I mean, I don't know what I would have, I don't know when I can do it because I'm in rehearsal, but show them that Preston Sturges thing and just at least that one scene and then let me know. But I'm sure you'll see what I'm talking about. So.
Opening scene for Sullivan's Travels. Yeah.
Yeah. The scene that follows the words "the end," which is 2 minutes in. Okay. Anything else? No? Wow. I guess you don't like hearing it's harder for you than it was for me. Oh, I see a hand in the back. Is that Hector from the other class?
No.
Hi, Mr. Lauria. My name is Edward. I just wanted to ask you, who are some of the actors that you look up to when you were starting to act, or you kind of took as like a inspiration for some of your roles?
Well, the ones I knew or ones I just, well, I mean, Spencer Tracy would, if I had to pick number one, that would be Jimmy Stewart, but I liked a lot of the character actors like Van Heflin, Lloyd Nolan. They're all, I had a lot, but once I got going in a business, Charles Durning was my mentor. 40 something years. Every time I did a play, he would come up and put his arm around me and go, another 20 years, you'll be an actor, And then years later, you saw me do a play with Jack Klugman. We were hot. And he came up to me and very emotionally, he said, all right, another 10 years, you'll be an actor, And that was because, like Jack Klugman one day had asked him, Charlie, are you an actor yet? And the great Charles Durning said, I'm getting damn close. And that was after 60 years. That's a whole different attitude than what's going on now. Yeah. They would be insulted when their performances were chopped up in an editing machine.
Well, that reflects on everything, media, news, that behavior actually reflects poorly on the rest of society, the cutting.
I would agree. I'm not asked to talk about that. I was asked to talk about acting, but I totally agree with you on that. But all I know is for the art of acting, it just really has hurt a good actor. I can't tell you how many times when I started, I was wrong for a part but I gave a good audition. And sometimes they give it to me, but they would always call me back for something else. You don't have that opportunity by doing your self-tape that looks like everybody else's self-tape and you haven't met anybody. So that's another thing about auditions. Like Charles Durning said, you never audition for a part. You have 5 minutes to act. 90% of the people in our union are not going to act today. You got 5 minutes to act. How lucky can you be? And I've never gone into an audition trying to get a job. I got 5 minutes to act. I don't care if they hire me or they don't. I'm going to act. I'm going to do my thing. You know, and to me, a good audition is you walk out. It's not whether you got the job or not. If you did what you rehearsed, if you walked out and said, I hit those things I wanted to hit and I hit them well, that's a good audition. Sometimes I've had an audition where I felt terrible and they called and hired me and I go, I was surprised I got it. I didn't feel that good about it. You know, oh, come on, Dan, the way you were jumping around the room like an idiot, of course we hired you, you know. So. I remember a casting director's phone rang in the middle of my scene. I picked it up and I went, she's not in! Bang! Hanged it up and went on. You know? And, you know, what happens if the phone rings? On stage, you deal with it, you know? You don't just ignore it. So you got 5 minutes. If you get an audition, it's not an audition. You got 5 minutes to act today. And 90% of your unit is not acting. So how lucky can you be? So even now, people say, don't you get upset when they ask you to audition? I go, no, I got nothing else to do. I might as well act today.
Well, thank you for joining us. Anybody else good? Thank you, thank you.
All right, let me know what you think of Sullivan's Travels there. Take care.
Oh, let's find it. But if I can't find it in 2 minutes, then, you know, you guys know the deal. I'm going to yoga today. I'm going to yoga. I have not gone in days. Usually I go during the day at 10 a.m., but my schedule's been